Today I'm speaking with my personal dating coach, Carol Allen. We're going to be talking today about all the pitfalls that we fall into when we're looking for love, how to overcome them, and she's also offering free access and membership to her amazing newsletter that gives you fantastic information on how you can navigate through online dating and do it in a very powerful way where you feel like you can actually find love. So all you need to do is go to soulmatestars.com/Natalie to be able to get access to that amazing newsletter and enjoy the podcast. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the podcast for this week. This week we have a recurring guest, or a returning guest, I should say, who's a very good friend of mine, Carol Allen. Carol is from Lovers in the Stars. How are you, darling?
I'm so great. I'm so honored to be back for more.
Yeah. Well, the first time we chatted on the podcast, we were talking about, different dating pitfalls and what to kind of look out for. But after that, I actually personally worked with you.
Yeah.
And you were my dating coach. And as a result of that, I was able to meet my amazing man, Bert, who we've been together now for like 15 months. And actually have a sidebar. I had a little reading with a clairvoyant this morning, and she said that we have this soul contract and, obviously we're meant to be together and the whole thing. And I'm like, that's exactly what I felt.
Wow.
But I would never have found him if it wasn't for your guidance and your help.
Amazing.
So that's what we're going to talk about today. Because I know that, Bert and I took you and Bill out for dinner for lunch the other day, and Bert was just like so grateful. He goes, thank you so much for helping Natalie get out of her own way. And I'm like, I don't know if that's what she did, but she definitely helped me because, when we're looking at, finding a lover or finding, a relationship and we're doing it through the online portals and the online websites and apps, it's really important. It's like any kind of marketing message. We kind of need to speak in the language of the people that we're trying to reach, right?
Absolutely. And, it was so amazing when you reached out to me because I was like, oh my God, Natalie is so awesome. She is, like everybody's favorite person. For those of you who don't know Natalie personally, she's just as cool in the real world as she is here. And I can personally attest, because we have a lot of mutual friends and we're in a lot of overlapping communities, that everybody flipping loves you. So I was like, okay, I can't screw this up. Like I have to help, if this doesn't go well, my name will be mud. Okay. So, but it was also exciting because of course, you are such a great woman that with just a few tweaks and shifts to your profile and the way you were marketing yourself and what you wanted, I had a lot of confidence that of course it would go really well. But what I didn't know was how quickly it would go so well. I mean, you wrote to me like that fast and said, I found him.
It was weeks. It was a matter of weeks actually that we met. It was crazy.
I was so excited. And, to watch you guys go to Paris and go to Costa Rica and go do all these amazing adventures. And it's been so moving to see you find such meaningful love. And of course, you incorporated your own powerful, incredible mind movie work because he's everything you wanted. So, we need every piece of the puzzle, people.
That's right. So let's start because I know when I first approached you, I was making some mistakes that's common for a lot of women when we set up our online profile. And actually we saw each other on the weekend. You're like, yeah, it was really great if you were going for a job interview. Like, yeah.
Well, you are a woman who has had a really fulfilling, satisfying career, and you love what you do, and you love making impact, and you love the life that you've built for yourself. And so you were sharing about that because that has been the part of your life that's really been thriving and really been satisfying. And so what people forget, and even I have a lot of clients that are actually in marketing who forget that, to your very good point, this is marketing. This is marketing and advertising for love. And so you have to use all the rules of marketing. So anyone listening who doesn't know the rules of marketing, the first rule of marketing is, who is your ideal customer, right? And what do they want? What are they dreaming of? And how can you communicate with them in such a way that they feel like, Eureka, that's what I want, right? This is it. I have found it, right? So you were writing all this amazing stuff about, oh, I have this amazing career and I travel the world and I've done this and I've done that. And I, but your ideal customer was a man looking for love, not necessarily a man looking for a powerful, badass career woman. It was a man lying in bed, not dreaming of, if only I could find a woman with, millions of followers and people who love her podcast. Yeah. If only I could find that, right? No, he's thinking about what's in it for him.
Right.
What's he going to get? How will his life be better? How will his days have more meaning and joy and fun and pleasure and excitement and fulfillment? And so you have to think about what's in it for them. I see a lot of women's profiles now. This has been what I've mostly been doing in the last, couple of years, because this has been the only way people can look for love lately. And everybody forgets to ask themselves, why would they want what I'm sharing? What's in it for them? We all think about, what do I want? So a lot of women write really long things on what they want, what they're looking for. And it was so much fun meeting Bert, because Bert was very expressive about what he was so frustrated by with other women. And he said things a lot of men say, right? He was like, I don't care what you're looking for. He said, so many women would go on and on and on about what they're looking for, but none of that told him what he was going to get.
Right.
And then another thing he said, which is very, very common, is women and men, we try to show that our life is cool, right? Like, oh, I have a great life. I have a great life. Look at all my great friends. Look at all these fun things I do. So our photos are more like lifestyle brochure photos or like travel photos than really there to display us, right? So you look at people's pictures and you go, man, I need to go to Machu Picchu, right? Or, gosh, I want to fly a helicopter, right? But you don't go, wow, who's that?
Right.
And so what Bert said that was something women do all the time is, he said, I kept seeing like group photos of all these people, but I don't know who the woman is yet. And I couldn't tell, which one are you again? And often I just have to laugh. Women send me pictures that they're using online where they're with really attractive friends. One client recently sent me a photo she was using, and it was her being like way down here. It was just her head next to her much taller friend, and the light was streaming down on the much taller friend's cleavage. I swear to God. So it looked like you could picture like the sound of the spheres, right? Like, oh, lighting this woman's breasts, right? And I was like, get rid of that picture. So, but you were mostly coming off as a career woman, and yeah, men would read your stuff and be like impressed, but they wouldn't necessarily feel connected.
Right.
So you want anyone that looks at the photos and reads the writing to feel a connection already. So that's,
and I think the other thing that Bert commented on is that he said, when I read your profile, he said, I got a sense what it was like to spend time with you.
Mm-hmm.
I was on Hinge, was the app that we used. And, and I was answering questions like, what do you do when you're at home on a Saturday night, or what do you do on a Sunday morning? It was relevant because, number one, we're in lockdown, so everyone's at home on a Saturday night and a Sunday morning. But number two, we got a little glimpse into what's it like to spend time with me. And from the answers that you helped me to answer, which were truthful, but they were written in a way that's inclusive of the person that I'm looking to attract. It's like, if we're together, we're entertaining friends, we're eating steak, we're, having special cuddles on Sundays or whatever that is. And so it gave him an idea of what it was like to actually, spend time rather than this is my amazing life. It was all more about me, which was cool.
Right. Well, and you created like we and us kinds of activities. And then you sprinkled in what I like to call man catnip, where you talked about cooking steak, right? Mm-hmm. And doing things outdoors or doing things, watching sports. I always say to women, look, I'm sorry to be like your grandma right now, but the way to a man's heart is through his stomach still. So what do you cook? Because what I find so often is women will write about things that are very much just isolated or solitary activities. Mm. They'll say things like, I love gardening. I love my alone time. I'm like, why are you telling a man you love your alone time? Yeah, a guy might think, oh, that's nice. She won't be clingy and needy 24/7. But we've all had enough alone time, right? Like people are looking for love because they want connection time. Yeah. And they want union and togetherness and support. So write about that stuff. I mean, I lately I've had clients where every single thing they describe says, I am an island. Because a lot of women have been an island for a long time. And people tend to come to internet dating often because they just don't know what else to do. Yeah. And so often it's like a last resort, or it's after years alone, or it's like an I have to because nothing else is working, as opposed to from a point of view of like, this is the best tool. Because here's the good news. It's the number one way people meet and marry now. And there's a Stanford professor that has studied and researched internet dating for over a decade. And he says it's the number one way. And one of the gifts of the pandemic is that singles are taking relationships more seriously. And there's a big drop in people just looking to hook up. And there's a big increase in people taking this much more intentionally and much more seriously and really wanting love now. And so there's never been a better time to access this amazing tool. Yeah. But you've got to think what's in it for the other person and how can you create connection in your messaging and in your pictures. So get rid of your hotter friends, get rid of talking about like your knitting or your private activities and let a man picture what it's like to be with you.
So here's the other thing that I think a lot of women, when they work with you, is going to discover as well, which I didn't really realize, was how men think. Like, like we think that they think like us, right? And that's kind of, I remember like one of the things I wrote on my previous profiles was, I want to be with someone who's willing to grow and evolve and to work with themselves and everything. And I remember you going, do you think that's what guys are looking for? I'm like, probably not.
Well, again, back to who's your ideal customer, you want to ask yourself, what are they looking for? And then what have they been through that has led them to be looking for that thing, right? So what has every man been told by every woman ever prior to meeting you? How much he sucks, right? What a bad boyfriend he is, what a failure he is. If he's single, there's a reason, right? And if you're over 40 and you're looking for a guy over 40, that guy has been told 10,000 times what a failure he is, how much he needs to grow and change and evolve. So it's not just that language like looking for a man to grow and evolve is very female language, even though it is. There's certainly plenty of men that are growth oriented and that are personally developing themselves. We know a lot of those men. We know a lot of amazing men into that stuff. It's just what a man hears from that is, I won't be enough right now. Right. She's going to want me to change. I will be a project. And they have been there, done that. And it is agonizing to men. It's horrible. Mm-hmm. So women really are guilty of finding men and falling for their potential, right? And then trying to nudge them and push them and coerce them into their potential, as opposed to accepting them really as they are. So if you use language like, I appreciate nobody's perfect. I will always accept you for who you really are. And you will always be safe with me. Like, you start using language like that. You use words like looking for my best friend and lover, my next and last best friend and lover, you know, your inbox will be so full, right? You won't have time. I mean, it's so much fun doing this with them, because they tell me, like, they go from getting sort of like attention or the wrong attention to having so much attention they can't handle it. Between the improvement we make in photos, your photos were really fun too, because I like to make fun of you. You had if I may say, yes, you're a very attractive woman, and you're blonde, and you've got like a great rack. Pardon my French. As a girl without one, I appreciate a great rack and another one. And, so you can take a great picture all day long, and you're warm and friendly. That's the other thing, is I always say, what's the vibe of your profile? Like, it's more important that it's got a good vibe than it have perfect pictures. I've had clients hire professional photographers and makeup artists and hairdressers, and everything's perfect, but the vibe is terrible because they're so like uncomfortable and tense, right? So it's better to have casual photos where you're happy and at ease and relaxed than like photos. But you had such a cute profile photo. You were holding a cup of tea, and you had like your kitchen behind you. It looked like you were either selling green tea or you were selling like stoves, right? I was like, Natalie, I want to buy a range from you. Can I buy?
But that was only one of the photos that didn't have a glass of alcohol in my hand. So that was the other the mistake I was making. It was like, all right, I look bordering on being an alcoholic.
Well, and that's a very common thing, because even people that are fine with a social drinker and want to be with a social drinker, a lot of people are single because their last partner had an addiction. Right. So people's back is up about that, right? You got to think about, again, what led to somebody even being here in the first place. And addiction is huge, especially these days, right? I mean, it's like 1 in 3 people in the West has an addiction, and most of us come from families with addiction. So if you're doing anything in every picture, if you have a dog in every picture, right? If you're on your bike in every picture, like, you just, it's fine to have alcohol, especially if you like social drinking, which, you throw some killer after parties, girl. You are a fun social drinker, right? But you're certainly not an alcoholic. So with somebody like you, I would say like 1 photo with a drink is fine, but you don't want 7, right? And hide the pictures where you have 7 drinks.
Well, I know, because that's the thing. Like, when I'm going through my camera roll, and this is why, when you gave me the advice to get, photos taken specifically for the profile.
Yes.
But with all the photos where I'm dressed up looking lovely, I'm at a social engagement. So for some reason, I have a glass of wine in my hand or whatever. So that was really cool. But I think that even some of the guidelines that you gave me, like the picture that I had for my, my main profile picture, that's what hooked Bert. He looked at that picture and he said, you were looking directly at me. And that was one of the things that you said, you need to be looking, you can't have sunglasses on, you need to be looking directly in the camera. So I had like, it took me a couple of hours, an hour at most, maybe, had some photos taken around here. They were all casual, but they were all current.
And they were so beautifully lit. I thought they were just so head and shoulders above what you were using before. And it's those little things that'll give you that edge, because it's crowded online, and everybody makes these snap decisions, especially with the apps where they're swiping. People decide if they're attracted to you in less than a second, far less than a second, in a fraction of a second. So it's not enough to have pictures that are fine or okay or even good. You want to have pictures that are like, whoa, right? And so you got whoa pictures, and the profile picture you used is, I think, just beautiful, and it looks just like you. So it wasn't, because people say, oh, I don't want to false advertise. No, but we all have like our best angle, our best hair day, and you just really want to make the most of that. Because what I find again and again is people are very half-hearted about this. They come to it begrudgingly. They don't really want to do it. They do it with kind of a chip on their shoulder, like, we'll see, So they don't really bring their A game. They don't bring a lot of thought and intention. And, they have friends that it worked for. So they've heard you can just throw some pictures up and write something quick and it'll work. And that just honestly is not the case. Even if you're 28 and like a supermodel, that doesn't work. You've got to be more thoughtful and deliberate. So the pictures, honestly, because it's a visual medium, are the most important thing. Yes. So get rid of the group shots, get rid of the glasses, alcohol in every photo, get rid of the sunglasses, puffy jackets. That's another thing. Women are constantly sending me photos where you can't tell their figure. Even women with great figures are like hunched over, and there's always cut up people in the photos. It's like she's leaning into a guy that's cut out of the photo. Well, guess what the message is of that? Yeah. I'm already with someone, right? I'm already, there's an arm around me. I already have a man, is the subliminal message of that. One of my clients, she sent me photos where her ex-husband's head was sticking out of her head, and it's like, I've had clients where there's a bunch of men behind them turning away. So the subliminal message is men turn away, right? You want to think these things, all of these little things actually matter. They seem silly, but they really matter. And then you want to have body shots. So many women don't have body shots. They say if you don't have a body shot, you decrease engagement by 200%. So you want to have nice headshots, you want to have nice body shots, you want to have a variety. But I love what Bert said. Yeah, because what so often happens, Natalie, is people take selfies. And when we take a selfie, what are we looking at? We're looking at our image, right? Mm-hmm. We're looking at ourselves. We're not looking at the little teeny hole at the top, which is the lens. And so when we're looking at our own image, the experience the viewer has is, oh, she's looking at my neck. Right. Like it's off. There isn't a connection. There's like this, there's a disconnection. And again, these are subtle, subconscious, quick things. But people send me bad selfies all the time that they're using. Or they'll send me a picture of themselves taking a picture in the mirror, right? So they're like looking at their phone as they take a photo. It's crazy.
Men do that a lot. There's a lot of those ones in the gym or in the bathroom. You're like, or in the car. You're like, this
in the car. Totally.
What?
Men and women do the in the car constantly.
I don't get that. I'm like, that makes no sense. And the other,
it's private, and oftentimes the light is really good because you're surrounded by windows.
Yeah.
And it's tempting, but it's just you've got a seatbelt on. Like,
and most of the time you've got sunglasses on, so because it's so bright.
Yeah.
But the other thing that was important that you brought up was how important it is that the photos that you have on your profile are only on the profile.
Yes. So that's a safety issue because of how easy it is to image search, right? Somebody can take a picture of you, run it through a Google image search, and if it's already somewhere else, like on your website or on your social media, that will come up. And then they know who you are. Right. And they know where you live, and they know your phone number, and they know, all that stuff. So that's an excellent point, Natalie. Thank you for bringing that up. So the pictures you use, you want to have them be that's the only place you use them.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So what are some of the other? Have we not covered? Have we covered all of the things, the pitfalls that we fall into as women? Because I think too, like we get in there and we're really just focusing on us. This is what I want, and a
right.
lot of the chip on the shoulder, because it's like, this is who I am. And if you don't like it, then you're not my guy.
Right.
But
because you are a proponent brilliantly of the law of attraction, right? There is this feeling that I can place my order with the universe and it will serve it up right away, right? And I'm a huge fan of the law of attraction. And, I'm also really a fan of, you've got to market yourself and message in such a way that, somebody will be drawn in, and then the law of attraction can totally kick in. But to your very good point, there's, gosh, I lost my stream of thought. I'm so sorry.
Well, no, because here's the other thing, because then we go, it's not just that we give like, this is me, look at how amazing I am kind of thing. But then we go, and if you're my guy, you've got to have this, and this.
Totally. We describe like this perfect person that literally doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And, a lot of other people who teach this stuff will say, be very, very specific about the guy, so that the man that's correct will step forward, right? Well, women will send me their profiles that they've had written with other teachers of this stuff. And they will literally say things like, you jump out of airplanes, you drive a 59 Chevy, like stuff that's so specific. I'm like, okay, but you just told men that don't jump out of airplanes not to write to you. Do you know how much smaller the pool just became, right? Yeah. So yeah, but I think too, Natalie, I've been doing this work for so long, working with women looking for love. And the downside of internet dating is it's given everyone this feeling of false abundance, right? This feeling that like, I can just like boom, 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 meet people easily, have access right away. And so everybody's back is up and they're looking more for what's wrong than what's right. So what I find is women are so quick to dismiss a guy, because what everyone says to me is, I don't want to waste time. I don't want to waste time, and I don't want to get hurt. If your intention is to not waste time and to not get hurt, it's not going to go well, because you're not going to be open to the possibilities, and you're not going to be present. You're going to be so like careful to like eliminate and sort and get rid of everyone that doesn't quite feel perfect, that your odds of finding what you're looking for really go down. So, and I'm shocked at how superficial people are. Shocked. Women will be like, oh, I don't like his hair. Oh, I don't like his shoes. Oh, I can't believe he said that. No. And it's like, oh my God. So before you get online or before you date at all, you really want to ask yourself, not just what do I prefer, but what do I truly require? And then be open to whatever packaging it comes in, right? Because odds are the universe, or whoever you believe in, has a better plan than you do, but it might not be obvious right away. And so women call me all the time. They're like, I'm not sure. And I'm always like, then keep going. Unless you know it's no, the answer is yes. Right. And, but they're like, but I don't want to waste time. Guess what? It's a bloody business. Life is messy and complicated, and humans have a very slow, inefficient, time-consuming, expensive way of doing things. And it's called trial and error. Yeah. And it's called finding out as you go. And so get really clear on what you require, and then say yes to everything that shows up. If it's a different age than you expected, a different race than you expected, a different geography than you expected, who knows, right? We went to a birthday party yesterday of a dear friend, and her guy lived in another state. And he wrote to her once and she didn't even respond. And he had to write to her again. And thankfully he did, because they are madly in love. And he quickly rearranged his whole life and moved to her. So that's the other thing, is everyone has these ideas of like, well, I can't be in a situation that has X, Y, Z. It has to be A, B, C. And that's all just fear and self-protection. And yeah. And that is not going to go good, because that kills the law of attraction, right?
It does. And I think what was really helpful for me is that as you know, I had my mind movie, which I was very specific. And actually, when I showed Bert, we'd been together for maybe 3 or 4 months, and he looked at it and went, okay, first of all, that's creepy, because that is exactly, I told you, darling, I ordered you and you showed up,
I love it.
Yeah, it was amazing. But the thing is that I created so that when I was going online, that it helped me to recognize. I didn't have to put all of that in my profile. My profile was like, here is me. This is the current me in my photos, and this is what it's like to spend time with me. But all that list and those things were for when we met,
right?
And on our first date, because for me it was like the things that I really wanted was someone with time and money freedom. And
nice.
Bert's been retired for 15 years, so
amazing,
big tick in that box. Someone who was open to growth, and I didn't lead with that in my profile, but definitely into that, and we're growing together and working on that. And that's someone that for me was no small children. Like it had to be someone whose family was older, which is what he has.
Yes.
So and he ticks all.
And that's totally valid. Yeah.
And all of that showed up on our first date. And for him, he wanted someone who brought something to the table. That's someone that was, intellectually stimulating, but, that he was attracted to as well. And, obviously I tick those boxes too. So, it was all on the first date. We sort of recognized that because I had that offline, and I knew that that's, but for him to even reach out, we had to have the right photos and speak in the right way. And
well, you bring up such a great point, because, what I say to people is, look, your profile or the answers you give in those questions, this is like you're at a party and you're saying hello and you're having chitty chat, right? You don't have to bare your soul or tell your life story. In fact, please don't, or tell them everything you are looking for in a man. You would never do that if you met somebody in real life. You would never walk up to a strange man and go, hi, the man for me has to be, right? Like that's so inauthentic, and that's very off-putting. And so your first communication should be light and confident and, happy. The attitude should be happy and fun. But if you want something serious, please say so right away. And that's where you say something like, looking for my last best friend and lover, or looking for a marriage-minded man, or looking for a relationship-minded person to spend the next and last chapter of my life, or however you want to say it, right? But be light and be charming, just like you would be out in the real world. People bring a lot of earnestness to this. When they do make a big effort, they sometimes go too far and they're too earnest, right? And too serious. And then, of course, before you actually meet people, there's messaging. So there's a whole part of this that's how do you engage with people? And what I tell women, especially over 40, 45, is you've got to write to men first. You're not at a dance, right? So, and even if you were at a dance, this is like smiling at a guy. Writing to a guy first is basically putting like a big green light over your head, right? So you're saying to a guy, it's okay to approach. And women are like, oh, and then what I find is they'll do way too much. They'll be like, oh my God, I love your profile. And I love how you said this and and your dog's so cute. And no. You're just sending a smile. So you want to just say something specific about something he's doing in his pictures or something he wrote, and pay him a compliment. Just like a simple, easy, quick. Men are starved for compliments in our culture. And, truthfully, men in the West are the loneliest men in the world, right? We work harder than anyone. We're often far from our families. We're often far from the people we grew up with. We're very homophobic still. You go to other parts of the world and the men are all holding hands and hugging and kissing and playing checkers in the town square. And men are very alone in the West. And so they're desperate for you to connect with them in a way that works for them. And so, just send a little hello. And then the thing to know is that a lot of these sites and apps keep up inactive accounts to make it look like there's more people than there really are.
Right.
So what's happened to a lot of my clients that write to men first is they feel very rejected because a lot of men don't respond. And what I tell them is a lot of those men are actually not there anymore.
There's a million reasons why they're not responding, and it's got nothing to do with you. Yeah, exactly.
So that's the other kind of main thing for people to keep in mind is this is not personal, and it's just like you're out in the world saying hello to strangers, and just have take it seriously, but lightly at the same time, and have fun with it. And you never know, you might be like Natalie, getting all your boxes checked.
Exactly. So, like, honestly, I cannot speak more highly of Carol. Obviously she's done a lot of work with me, but everything that she told me was like, oh, that's common sense. Oh, I didn't realize. Oh, it was very easy to follow. So, if you get the opportunity and if you're looking for love, I highly encourage that you work with Carol. So, Carol, I know that you've got a gift for our listeners. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I'm getting a lot more specific and detailed about all of this in a recording I'm doing. And if they're hearing this before mid-December, they can join me live. And if it's after mid-December, they can get the recording. And it's called Blow His Mind Online, Internet Tips for Women, Internet Dating Tips for Women. And so they're welcome to register for either the live call or a webinar rather, or the free recording after the fact anytime. And I'm happy to share, because small shifts make such a difference. And I just want everyone to have love. I just think, relationships really are the most important thing in life. And it's been studied and documented and proven. It improves your longevity, your immunity, your wealth, your health, your everything. So I'm just really, really happy to share. This stuff works. And I have a lot of stories like yours, Natalie. Yours is my favorite. So.
All right, guys. Well, you'll find the link for that in the show notes. So you'll be able to go through and either get the recording of that or actually join the call live. And we've really it's like the tip of the iceberg today.
Yeah.
And like I said, everything that you suggested that I do was easy. And I remember, Bert was saying, it was like your profile spoke directly to me. I go, that's exactly what I was doing, darling. I don't need to speak to 1,000 men that are not my guy. Right. I wanted to speak to my guy. And that was you.
Well, and truthfully, if you do it right, it'll put off men that are not your guy.
Yeah.
And it's you being authentically you. Yeah. It's you just being the best version of you and getting straight to the point and to the heart of what it is that you want and what will speak straight to his heart. So I'm just overjoyed that it worked for you. You're so deserving and so lovable. And Bert is a lucky, lucky, lucky man. And you made my job very easy.
All right, darling. Well, thank you so much for your time today. It's been such a pleasure. And to everyone else that's listening, thank you for being here. And I look forward to, bringing another podcast for you next week. All right. Thanks, everyone. And bye for now.